Hey, IT changemakers, and welcome to The Deck Show with Tom McGraw. Let's get into it.
What happens when AI stops being a tool you use and starts becoming an active participant, an active colleague in whatever it is that you do for work? Well, who better than these two gentlemen to help us navigate such brain-bending territory? We're welcoming back to the show, first of all, for his third appearance, I believe, Mohamed Kafsi. And Mohamed, for anyone who missed your prior appearances, maybe give a fuller introduction of yourself for the audience.
Yes, Tom. I'm Mohamed. I'm the head of AI innovation at Nexthink. I'm leading the Dex Frontier Lab. The Dex Frontier Lab is our applied research team, and we are focusing on building the next generation of Dex and IT products. Right. So basically, in simple terms, we prototype ideas before they become products.
And is it your third appearance on the Dex show?
I have a doubt. It's either the third or the fourth. But,
wow, we are racking up a few, and we had to combine it. We had to have a first timer on, just to make it sure it didn't get too chummy, too familiar here. So welcome to the first time, Yassine Benyahia. Before we get into it, Yassine, same invitation. Please introduce yourself. Give a fuller picture of your work here at Nexthink for the audience, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. So I'm Yassine. I joined Nexthink 2 years ago. I started on Assist, actually now called Workspace, where I contributed to key features, including text to NQL, which I believe Mohamed did a podcast on previously, one of his 2 or 3 podcasts. I also helped bring Assist to GA, and now moving to Spark, specifically the Spark agent team, which I now lead. So super excited about what we're building in Spark, like reimagining IT and ultimately even improving the everyday work life of employees. So super excited to be here today.
Fantastic. So maybe, bring us up to date, Mohamed. Since you last came on the show just over a year ago, in fact, what has your team been working on primarily, and what's that journey been like? So,
as I said, Tom, we're exploring the future of DEX and IT technology, and our, let's say, main theme in the last years has been AI agents for the enterprise. And we've seen a big shift recently in AI agents, right? They shifted from their ability to answer questions, and today they are able to observe, to reason, to take actions, right, and iterate. Those capabilities we're really excited about because we think they have a huge potential for DEX, for IT, for our customers. The key areas we're exploring, right? It's the ability of AI agents to understand what's happening on a screen of a device, right? Their ability to code, to use tools and execute actions. Also, something we might talk about during this episode is their ability to learn, right, from their action in the past, their mistakes, and also the interaction they have with humans. And also, it's an opportunity and for us to rethink how AI agents are automating the task together and working along with humans, right? So all of that, we're exploring those different questions. And as Yassine said before, the goal is always to deliver the best, let's say, digital employee experience at scale, right? And those, I'll be happy throughout this episode to go a little bit deeper on those aspects I mentioned about the AI agents.
And your software engineers are now using Claude Code daily, right? What's that been like for you? I guess as a leader, first of all, Mohamed, and then we'll talk to Yassine, maybe who's more involved with the utilization of it day to day.
No, Claude Code. If you take the example of Claude Code that we use daily, and Nexthink, and any company that's writing code and building products. First, on the personal level, I use Claude Code daily for job, but also during the weekends, right? For last weekend, I was using it with my daughter to develop a video game and help her learn math, right? Mm-hmm. So it can be also fun. It's not only for the professional part of our lives. I use it also for home automation. I use it for many things outside work. But for work, it definitely has the biggest impact today. This is what we see. And in the last year, what we've seen that software engineering has completely transformed, in the sense it transformed from using AI as a let's say a companion, right? And more being in the mode of where AI is helping you complete your code in an autocomplete mode, to agentic coding, where you have, as you said, Tom, in the beginning, a colleague, a junior colleague, right, that can write code from scratch if you explain it well enough, that can make mistakes, but with enough iterations, it will provide a very good output and can be completely autonomous in generating code. So this completely transformed the way we build software and our job as software engineers, with impact for us as a software company, but also with the impact in IT, right? And this ability to write code is not only transform the job of software engineer, but also transform IT as we know it today.
Mm. Mm. So have you had to restructure your team, restructure your how you supervise your team, how you supervise your direct reports, how you supervise the code that's being produced and developed? How has this huge step forward forced you or allowed you to reconfigure how you lead and how you run AI labs at Nexthink?
So the team didn't change. What changes our way of working, right? Embracing AI in order to research and prototype allow us to be much faster, much more efficient, allow us to prototype faster, to explore different avenues, right? And now our job in research is really to iterate fast, to do an exploration, and to learn as fast as possible, right? So it didn't change the team, but changed the way how we work, and also change somehow the dynamics in the work. Because if you think about it, the bottleneck for us is shifted from the ability to write code and to build products to more engineering judgment. It means our ability as a team to work together, but also to review what you built and to progress, to learn and iterate, right? So the team is still the same, but the way we work and the criticality of engineering judgment is much more important than before.
Intriguing. Yassine, talk to us about your day-to-day work coding with AI and your experience of that tech from a perspective as an engineer.
Yeah, I mean, I use Claude Code daily, as Mohamed said, and indeed, like in the last year, there has been a shift. Like it's kind of revolution for software engineer. And I think the biggest change here is that coding feels less like starting from scratch. Like you can, and feels more like directing a team of agents, actually. It helps a lot with many things like boilerplate and other things. And especially I found it super useful when you want to dig into a code base which you're not familiar with. But I have to say that since recently, maybe a few weeks in the team, in Spark team, like we are not only using the tools as is, but we are thinking about also the future. So we're trying to push automations to the next level. Uh, and basically, we're building a software engineer, an agent, basically, that can do what we do, that can react to issues, that can investigate alerts, gather context, and create PRs like completely automatically. And we just review the work, basically. And while doing this, I mean, the experience doing this, we realized that the agents, they need more than access to the code and to the repo. They need a way to basically they need our way to build software. So that's why like we created like a coding harness where we basically embed all our architectural patterns, like the testing strategy, the team knowledge. So basically, there was a shift where kind of we're not just using those AI tools, we're building the infrastructure that lets AI agent work reliably inside our engineering system. So the day to day resembles more trying to go a bit meta, right? And empower those agents to perform well, and find techniques that would basically push them to behave the way we want them to behave. So internally, we have this running joke, which is, we are automating ourselves, right? And
Uh,
and, and honestly, it's a little bit true, but hopefully we are automating like the tired, repetitive tasks, low leverage ones, and not the judgment, the taste, which I think stay super important. Like when you're running those agents who perform tasks, you realize very quickly that they can add a huge amount of complexity super fast. So the ability to differentiate what good from bad, right, and to produce code that's going to be maintainable for the future, I think it's something yeah, still part of the day to day, and still going to be part of the day to day in the future.
Yassine, you picked up on some really interesting things there. I'm curious, right? Because what's it been like as a coder? You know, no doubt an exceptional coder, to suddenly see something as powerful as this technology. You know, you made the joke about automating yourselves. We're all experiencing that, almost whatever our profession, right? We're seeing technology that can match us, in some ways outdo us, etc. What's that been like for you? I guess the word I'm looking for is emotionally.
I mean, it's very exciting, I have to say, like to be empowered to do more, to explore more, and especially if you have a lot of ideas on what to build in the product, like what to improve. Now the cost of doing so, it's very low. Like you could just spend a few hours and try to automate or to build whatever you want to build. So it's like, I don't know, having a fast car, a Ferrari, that you're driving. It's just super exciting.
Um, Mohammed, before okay, so a lot of successful experimentation has taken place with OpenClaw in the consumer market. Talk about that. Talk about what was useful about it from your perspective, and what this could mean and imply now for the enterprise.
So OpenClaw is this personal AI agent for the consumer market, and it took us by storm. At least it took the consumer market by storm, because you had the ability to build an AI agent easily, even if you're a non-technical user, and allows to automate tasks for you, like very daily tasks. Also interact with it with WhatsApp, and it was a, let's say, a defining moment this year for both the consumer and also the enterprise, because the enterprise market and the enterprise leaders were wondering, okay, what's the open cloud strategy? What does it mean for us, right? And if we look at the technical side, open cloud showed that AI agents can be very useful when they have the ability to use the computer and to control the computer, right? They have the ability to write code, to use CLI, so the command line interface, make errors, but also have the ability to retry. And they show that this is very powerful for the consumers and can automate a lot of tasks. At the same time, the consumer market, as we know, is very different from the enterprise market. In consumer market, if you have autonomy with this agent, you get very powerful toys you can play with and have fun. In the enterprise, if you have this autonomy without having the governance, the security, it becomes a risk at scale, right? Now the enterprise, if you imagine you have this open cloud, means you have thousands of agents in your enterprise environment that are automating tasks for you. You need to think about the policy. You need to think about the authentication, about permission. You also need to think about sandboxing, for example, because these agents have the ability, they're very powerful because they have the ability to write code, right, autonomously. But in the enterprise, you need sandboxing. It means you need to provide them the environment that's shielded enough from the production environment for them to try and to iterate, right? So our view is really local autonomy of this agent is very powerful, but for us, for the enterprise, it's not enough. For us, we said, okay, it's not enough, the local autonomy, so we need to do much more. And we worked, we did an exploration in this, there are two elements or two layers that we need to add in the enterprise. The first one is runtime safety layer that allow us to write those to run this agent in the enterprise environment safely. Means governance, control, policy, and security. And also there is a very important layer around the enterprise learning layer, meaning providing the layer for the agents to learn from what worked, what failed, and what humans did in order to keep on improving.
Yassine, what will it take, in your view, for coding agents to really evolve into reliable enterprise-grade IT troubleshooters?
I I believe that coding agents become enterprise grade IT troubleshooters when they stop being like this kind of chatbot with tools and become part of the real diagnostic system. And we talked about coding, right? And one can make the parallel here, right? I think that troubleshooting IT is much messier than coding. So in coding, usually I don't know, have a repo, some tests, CI. In enterprise IT, it's much more complex. There is the OS, the driver, the network, security, which Mohamed was talking about, and a ton of noisy telemetry. So, I mean, the hard part is not to make, I think, the model smarter. It's more helping it like collect the right context, filter out noise, reason about cause and effect, and take actions that are safe. So I think many things matter, and one of them, for example, is evaluations. So we need to be able to test agent on realistic troubleshooting journey, not just like some Q&A benchmark, and to be able to say, okay, did the agent ask the right question? Did it choose the right tools? Did it avoid risky actions? Did it know when to escalate or what to escalate? Um, and so this relates also to a bit to the context management. So you cannot just dump every log and device details into the model. The system has to to summarize, to do active context management, so to know what to ignore and to know what matters. Um, and I mentioned a little bit about causal thinking before. It's because and we've experienced it like with Spark. It's very easy for those models to find correlations. So I don't know, a driver changed yesterday, but does not mean it caused the issue, right? So a good agent need to, I don't know, form a hypothesis, look for evidence, rule things out, find proper causation. So there is a lot of work also to both in development but also in the evaluation to drive this behavior. And obviously safe actions, so the ability to allow agent to act on the device, to be able to troubleshoot, to be able to remediate in a safe way. So that's very important. Through approved permission the actions. And the last piece, which I think is one of the most important one, is learning. So, and if I take the example of Spark, every conversation in Spark should make the system better, and actually is making the system better, to capture what worked, what failed, what maybe how do I turn something into a playbook, a test case. And over time, the systems become more reliable, because it's not just answering on general knowledge; it's really accumulating this operational experience from the enterprise itself, so from the ground. It starts to recognize patterns that repeat themselves, or to avoid past mistakes, and to improve along the way. So I think that feedback loop is what turns like the agent from one shot troubleshooter, let's call it like this, into a system that really compound knowledge basically, and learn from experience and from history.
Um, in a word, you're seeing in a world rather where AI agents are automating much of our work under human supervision. What happens to UX or indeed OS?
um I mean, I recently went to a conference and saw a talk from Aido Solomon. He's the creator of Agent Craft and MCP UI. He's also co-creator of MCP apps. So, and his point was, I mean, he made agent craft, which is a solution to a problem which now we run more agents in parallel, and the human becomes the bottleneck, right? And agent crafts is actually a game, so it's a mix between Warcraft and agent. So that's why he called it agent craft. So it's a game-like interface that basically allows the human to control agents in the game, right?
Mhm.
So when, I don't know, when the agent like needs your intervention, you would see a pop-up in a game like interface, or when a human needs to intervene for a specific action, for example. So I don't think that enterprise software will literally look like a game, but the metaphor is right. Like the humans become the orchestrator, and the agent will generate options, and human will decide like directions, quality, accountability, etc. So I don't know what the UX will look like, but I think it would look like something like this, where the human just manages a fleet of agents in an interface that might look like a game.
Engage pop-ups. How about it? Just continuous all day long. Guys, tell us some stories about what it's been like with these next generation colleagues you've been nurturing over there. They could be frightening, funny, inspiring, illustrative.
I mean, I have a story that happened to us recently in a QA environment while we were preparing a model upgrade. And I mean, functionally, Spark and the agent that powers it looked good, right? It understood the task, like retrieved the right context, and guided the user through the troubleshooting flow. But then we noticed a behavior regression. So when the users were confused or repeating themselves, for example, the agent started saying things like, "I already told you this multiple times. Okay, I'm repeating myself. You need to do X." So, and they even started to be rude, like even sometimes insulting. And this is true. Like this is a true story. And I mean, technically the answer might have been correct, but the behavior was not acceptable, right? So an IT agent often is often like helping someone who is already frustrated because their VPN or laptop or something doesn't work, right? So he has to be patient, he has to be professional. So that was I think that story made like a strong reminder that production agents are like stochastic software. We don't control them, and the model upgrade can change like not only accuracy, but it can change tone, judgment, tool use, edge cases. So we built after this, and we doubled down on our guardrail evaluations and adversarial example, repetitive user, confused user. So we had a bunch of simulation of different types of users to guardrail this against this happening again, actually. So I mean, the lesson was that, yeah, evaluating agents is not just about like whether you solve the task or not. It's also about whether they remain safe, they remain respectful, trustworthy, uh, and that was actually a lesson learned.
Let's unleash
Yassine,
the rude version of the world, guys. Come on, let's see what.
I think that was my idea as well. Yassine, the root version of your agent could be even like a feature, because today if you use ChatGPT, they're so sycophantic, they're so trying to please you that it becomes
Yeah,
very annoying,
yeah,
right?
you're right.
And sometimes I rather have a button with the root version of this discussion, and to be brutally honest, I think it would
Yeah.
be, I will buy this agent.
The funny thing is that we hired someone recently in the team who was working at another company, and they had like a very similar problem in production for their clients. Like the agent, after an upgrade, started insulting clients. But like was Gemini.
And
It caused like, a big incident and many problems. So
just to go a little bit deeper, because I think it's a very interesting point. The fact that agents are trying to please you and avoid to contradict you, except if you prompt them for that. It's also something that's hindering learning, right? Because when you want to learn, you want to be challenged, and you want some time to be confronted with the truth or another perspective. And I think the fact that they're trying to please us and they are sycophantic, it's an obstacle to learning, right? And what's funny, Tom, and I will close after the geeky parenthesis. It's this is the case because those agents, they have been trained to be like this, right? Because in their post training, where we basically align them with human preference, humans, when they rate the answer of ChatGPT or Claude, they rather have something that is incorrect but it's pleasing them than something that is unpleasant but true, right? And this alignment phase brings this agent to be more and more in the, okay, I will please you and I will never tell you you're wrong, rather than telling you, okay, here you're wrong, or rather I recommend going another way or another hypothesis.
I'm so interested in that. So out of interest, guys, so when you're trying to recalibrate the LLM aspect, right? That when you're trying to recalibrate the LLM in a behavioral direction, I understand that you're going to feed it with new responses, but what does that process look like?
So, today, as we are integrating LLMs in our products, I mean, let's say the pre-training and post-training has already been done. It means they already encoded the preference of the LLM and the LLM weights, right? And the LLM break. Our only way of influencing the behavior of the LLM is what we call in context learning, is basically by injecting in the context and telling it, okay, try to behave in such a manner, right? But it's already too late for us. It's we cannot make it. We cannot fundamentally change how the LLM is because we cannot modify the weights. It's not
Got
we
it.
cannot. We could, but we don't because there are other side effects. So today we take the LLM as is and we prompt it, right, to behave in a certain manner. If you want to fundamentally change how the LLM is answering and the LLM personality, you need to modify the weights. And modifying the weights, it means providing it with additional examples of
Yep.
desired responses and go in this fine-tuning phase, which is much more heavy in engineering. And it means it's much more risky because you can also impact other aspects of the LLM as well.
Intriguing.
We call this actually catastrophic forgetting. So when you change the weight and you post-train, but you forget previously acquired tasks and previously acquired knowledge, which is, as Mo said.
But you can definitely, if you come back to the first example, if you want an LLM that is blunt, telling the truth, almost rude, you can do it on the post-training. It means you show it examples of questions and answers, and you tell, look, this answer that is more honest, more direct, I want you to favor it. And it will basically modify the weight in order to provide those answers. Today, because we want to get engagement from the user, and because as humans, we rather have a pleasant answer, there are no incentives for the companies training and proposing this LLM to go that way, at least the brutal, honest way.
Like you say, in the workplace, it becomes it becomes imperative that there's greater candor than in the consumer LLM space, no doubt. Mohamed, something you said prior to the recording about the view that agent failures aren't model failures but context failures. Elaborate on what you meant by that and what that means in practice.
Yeah, usually when you have like an agent failure, we tend often to blame the model or the LLM that's powering those agents, right? But what we miss is that most of the failures, I would say, come from the missing context. So the context is basically what we inject in the memory of the agent when they need to perform a task, right? And I would argue, like in consumer, but also enterprise, I mean, the context is everything, right? Because to perform a task, let's say, for example, for Spark automating a task for IT, the agents needs to understand, okay, what's the device state? What are the company tools? What are the policies? What is the user context? Historical outcomes, right? The skills that are required to perform the task. And this context becomes the most crucial part if you want to have useful agents automating tasks in the enterprise. And And we did it's not a small, we did an exploration around this, around how we can build the right context for the agent in the enterprise, right? And we explored 2 ways to build this context. First one, we expose the agent to humans. That means we show it examples of humans solving a task, and the agent could observe humans solving a task and learn from it. This is the first way we did it. And the second way was we created what we call synthetic trace in a sandbox environment. It means we let the agent go free and explore a given web application in a protected environment, right? And the goal of those two approaches is to allow the AI agents to learn from those examples, right? It's like you have an intern joining the company, and for it to learn, first version is you let it look at the colleagues, how they do the work, right? And the other way is you give it like a safe environment when the intern can explore and make mistakes, right? And we showed empirically, we measured after this, these two approaches, how accurate is the AI agent in performing tasks. And we showed that for very specific tasks in the enterprise, when you are able to automatically build this context, either by observing humans or by exploring in the sandbox environment, you can improve the accuracy by a significant percentage. Like for certain tasks, we see an increase by 70% in accuracy just by allowing the AI agent to be exposed to this information and build the context, right?
Crazy. It's so interesting having you guys on. AI Labs is fascinating. Mohamed, I think a 4/5 visit is inevitable. Maybe in 6 months' time, when everything is kind of completely changed again. But speaking of the future, let's round things off with this question. Open question for you both. You can both answer it, one of you, as you like. But what does product development look like in your mind's eye when you cast it forward 2-3 years?
Go ahead, Mo.
Yeah. I mean, what we see, first, what we see around is that boundaries today are, let's say, are more and more blurry between what a product manager does, what an engineer does, and what the designer does, right? This, I see it working every day, that we see that product managers are prototyping more and more. It means they don't necessarily need an engineer in order to build a prototype. Designers are able today to work, to create working interfaces and working UIs. And engineers also, they have expanded their capabilities, what they could build, and also the kind of discussions they can have with PM and designers. So if I had to bet, what I would see is smaller teams will be able to do more, right? But what's important for us is, and I think it's a point that Yassine mentioned at the beginning, it's a very important point. Strong judgment and taste are becoming more and more important as skills, right? Whether you're an engineer or PM, I mean, those skills are the most important one, as we are automating more and more of the job, and we have more and more AI agents being an integral part of the team, right? And in addition to that, I think the usual skills that remain important is curiosity, the ability to learn, right? Taste, as I said. So my advice for engineers, PM, is really to experiment as much as possible. Find your AI native workflow, how you can integrate AI in a workflow. And obviously, don't turn off your brain when you do that, right? And keep the taste and keep learning.
Yeah, thanks, Mo. I completely relate to it. I also think that, I mean, obviously, I mean, and this ship has sailed already. Like the tools are making us much more productive, and they are also changing a little bit of what like this good product like means. And it's definitely now cheaper to produce code, to produce new feature. And as Mo said, like the differentiator now is really taste. And I think that a great enterprise product is not just a list of features, because I mean we can build tons of features now. It's actually those thousands of like small decisions that do compounds, right? So being obsessed with the details and to build the best product for our customers. I think this is what's gonna allow different companies to strive actually. And so this is also what's driving us at the moment.
Phenomenal, guys. Judgment and taste. Interestingly, the same kind of language that some of my friends in like the visual profession, shall we say, videography, graphic design, where suddenly there is a huge democracy of what people can, democratic element in what people can do. Judgment and taste aren't going anywhere, and as much as anybody can now mock up a website, a web page, a banner, so many of us shouldn't, but it is funny, very provocative to hear the same terminology entering in such a distinct profession such as yours.
If you think about it, Tom, because beyond code, I mean, generating content is becoming much cheaper than before. So it means anyone can generate content, and that's why the importance of taste and judgment is much more than before, right? Because it's critical for you.
So maybe we're not automating ourselves after all, gentlemen. Hopefully not, but hopefully we'll still all have jobs in 6 months' time. And if we do, AI Lab's got to come back on and catch up, because this has been absolutely wonderful to have you on. Thanks for coming for the first time, Yassine. Thanks for coming back, Mohamed. It's been great, guys.
Thanks, Tom, for having us.
Thank you, Tom.
That's it for this week's Deck Show. We'll be back next week. And if you don't already, be sure to follow the show so you don't miss an episode. Until next time.